Welcome back to Journeyman Freedom. I am Anthony. I hope you're doing well. In this episode, I'm going to share with you the top 5 personal finance books that changed my life, and I hope they can change your life as well. The first book on my list is The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. I highly recommend this book. The core topic in this book is the idea that the biggest driver of our long-term financial outcomes is actually our behavior. It's not our knowledge. The majority of personal finance seems to focus on investments, strategies, taxes, math, all of these technical aspects, but it turns out it's actually our own emotion, psychology, and behavior that is the biggest key in long-term financial success. This is a fantastic book with a lot of great stories. Housel did a wonderful job, so I highly recommend, if you only read one book on this list, The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel, link in the description below. The second book on my list that I recommend is The Simple Path to Wealth by J.L. Collins. The key topics in this book are about avoiding debt, living below your means, investing in low-cost index funds. It's a very simple philosophy. He is very focused on the idea of achieving what he calls FU money. Once you achieve FU money or financial independence, you own your time, you have your freedom. And so it's an idea of a very simple strategy to accumulate FU money. For the number 2 book, this is a very simple strategy that anybody can use to achieve financial independence. I would also recommend this book. That is The Simple Path to Wealth by J.L. Collins. The number 3 book on this list is Die with Zero by Bill Perkins. This is a good contrast to a lot of the typical personal finance media and books out there, because the majority of it is heavily focused on cutting your spending and saving, reducing your lifestyle. And there's so much emphasis on accumulating, but not so much talk about what is the point of accruing all of this money? Do you just want to work and save for the rest of your life until you die? The real great idea in this book is the fact that time is your most valuable asset, and once you have enough, you should start spending that money. You should start enjoying it. You should enjoy your life. There are certain things that you can't really do at age 85 compared to age 45. Rather than waiting one more year, and delaying and saving. Once you've accumulated enough, you should really take advantage and enjoy your life. This is actually one of the most difficult psychological shifts for people, I think, who spent decades in work, investing, looking forward to their retirement. And when they're finally there, the finances are probably already good to go. It's very difficult for people to change gears and actually start spending money rather than focusing so much on saving it. Die with Zero by Bill Perkins. I highly recommend this book as well. It's a great change in outlook compared to your typical personal finance books. The number 4 book on my list, this is a bit of a change in mindset, is Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. This is a very old book at this point, and many people have already read it or heard of it. The thing I like about this book is it gets you to think a little bit different, a little bit out of the box. I remember being in school as a young person with our parents and everything like that. A lot of us aren't really taught to think outside of the traditional path of get a job, save money, spend less, and this kind of thing. Rich Dad, Poor Dad talks about assets and liabilities, thinking in terms of owning assets. The way he defines an asset is basically something that generates income and puts money in your pocket versus a liability which takes money out of your pocket. Even if all the ideas in the book aren't perfect, I think it's a great way to open up your mind to a different way of thinking. If you've never read this book, I would definitely recommend Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. The final book on my list, The Millionaire, Fastlane by M.J. DeMarco. If you read this book, you might think, why did I include this book on the list? Because it actually has the opposite view of the first 3 books on the list. I think it's useful to challenge our preconceived ideas or our existing philosophy or outlook, and again, consider other ways of thinking. The Millionaire Fastlane is really focused on entrepreneurship, building wealth through creating systems and leverage, a scalable business. It basically rejects the idea of taking a job and saving and waiting for compounding and waiting for decades. It instead suggests you should create a scalable business, and you can build financial wealth much faster. So I think this book is also great, and it really gets you to consider a different way of thinking when it comes to your approach to personal finance. That is it for my top 5 books. Let me know, have you read any of these books before? Which books do you like? That's all for now. Thanks for watching.